From our NewsNation headquarters in America's heartland, it's time for News for All America. Thank you so much for starting your week with us. New reporting this morning, a rare public show of force, the U.S. announcing it's sending a nuclear submarine and an aircraft carrier to the Middle East. It comes as reports suggest Iran will attack Israel within days. And there's also new doubt on whether a ceasefire and hostage deal can be reached. This morning, a new poll shows Vice President Kamala Harris beating former President Donald Trump on who may best handle the economy. What that new number reveals and the policies the Harris campaign is accused of picking up on from Mr. Trump. And a wild new detail about the arrest of one of the most dangerous cartel leaders now behind bars. It's the cartel double cross allegedly carried out by El Chapo's son. Plus,
the whole building was shaking.
New video shows the moment a house explosion killed 2 and displaced dozens more. What was reported just before the first 911 call was made. But first, we begin in the Middle East, where Israeli intelligence is warning an attack by Iran is imminent. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is ordering the nuclear-powered submarine USS Georgia and the U.S. aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln to the region as fears of a wider conflict increase. Kelsey Kernstein is following the latest for us. And Kelsey, this is a rare show of force from the U.S.
Mark, Nick, that is exactly the case. You know, the fear is really that Iran could retaliate. The Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has now ordered the USS Abraham Lincoln to accelerate their trip into the Middle East. This is one of the largest warships in the world. It's equipped with F-35 fighter jets. The ship was originally supposed to reach the Middle East by the end of the month, but now it's expected to be there sooner. U.S. leaders are also sending the USS Georgia submarine, which is armed with cruise missiles, and it's been training in the Mediterranean Sea. You can see they're off the coast of Italy. It is very rare for the U.S. to even reveal where a submarine like this is headed. Now, the growing number of U.S. forces headed to the regions comes after Hezbollah fired an attack into northern Israel overnight. The IDF saying the Iranian-backed terrorist group launched about 30 rockets from Lebanon. Now, Israel is also ordering mass evacuations inside southern Gaza, telling residents to flee areas inside Khan Yunis, forcing tens of thousands of people to leave, including parts of a designated humanitarian zone. This marks one of the deadliest attacks in the Israel-Hamas war. We know at least 100 people were killed by an Israeli airstrike on a school-turned-shelter. The IDF saying it killed 19 Hamas militants who were using the building as a command post, although the terrorist group denies it. Nick?
Kelsey, Hamas has said that there will be no participation in a ceasefire talk. Do world leaders believe that a deal is still possible?
Yeah, Nick, they do. So leaders in France and Germany and the UK, they're pushing the U.S. to get a deal done. They say in a joint statement that the fighting has got to stop. The hostages have got to be freed. President Biden's top Middle East advisor, Brett McGurk, he's expected to head to Cairo. This is all to finalize security details along an Egypt-Gaza border there to prevent weapon smuggling and reopen the Rafah crossing. The CIA director and other Western diplomats, they are expected to head to the region this week to ramp up ceasefire talks. Nick?
All eyes continue to stay on the Middle East. Kelsey, thank you so much.
You.
And as Hezbollah ramps up the fighting along Israel's northern border with Lebanon, I asked NewsNation senior national security contributor, retired Lieutenant General Richard Newton, about why Lebanon's government allows these attacks to continue.
The Hezbollah controls Lebanon, obviously, and what was Kelsey reported were about 30 rockets lobbed into northern Israel. My sources tell me there were no people wounded or killed in that. It's part of the barrage of Hezbollah attacks against the northern citizens of Israel. Really have been predominant since October 7th. This is not part of what we would consider a Hezbollah attack in that vein, but nonetheless, Israel has a multi-front war it has to address. Certainly, Hamas in Gaza. You've got Houthis in Yemen, North Yemen, but also the most potent military of all the Israeli, disregard the Iranian terrorist groups, Hezbollah, is to the north there. And so they've got a very deep arsenal of missiles and rockets and drones and so forth. And let's not forget, Iran back on April 13 conducted a very large missile strike and drones of up to 300 on April 13th that Israel, along with the United States and our allies, was able to defeat. But it's a very, very fluid situation, very dynamic situation, as you alluded to, leading up to potentially, negotiated talks for a pause or a ceasefire.
And General Newton saying that barrage of rockets coming as Israeli intelligence reportedly expects Iran to directly attack in the next few days. Ask Americans what they believe to be among the most important issues facing the country today, and you may hear a common answer. It's the economy, stupid. That legendary political catchphrase helped propel then-candidate Bill Clinton into the Oval Office back in 1992, and some believe it to be as true today as it was then. According to the most recent data from Gallup polling, 33% of Americans say economic issues are the most important problem facing the U.S. today. And a new poll by the Financial Times and the University of Michigan Ross Business School shows Americans trust VP Kamala Harris more on the economy than former President Donald Trump. But the numbers are tight. NewsNation's Alina Shirazi is live at the White House to break it all down. Alina, good morning.
Good morning to you, Nick. Good to be with you again. We know America's economic health has consistently been a top priority in most polls that we have seen. But while the poll shows Americans trust Vice President Harris more on the economy overall, Americans think they'll be better off financially under a second Trump presidency. That could explain why we're seeing Vice President Harris starting to share her economic plans, and she's sounding more and more like her opponent than you may expect. A new poll by the Financial Times Michigan Ross Business School showing Vice President Kamala Harris gaining ground on President Donald Trump on multiple issues, but perhaps none as surprising as the economy, marking the first time the Democratic candidate is ahead on the issue in nearly a year. The Financial Times Michigan Ross August poll finding 42% of voters trust Harris to handle the economy and 41% for Trump. That's a major change from July, when that poll found 35% trusted President Biden, while Trump remained unchanged at 41%. Recent unemployment numbers and stock market volatility have hurt Biden. And Harris is starting to distance herself from the administration, even poaching some of Mr. Trump's plans. In Las Vegas, Harris pushing her plan to cut taxes on tips.
And it is my promise to everyone here, when I am president, we will continue our fight for working families of America. Including to raise the minimum wage and eliminate taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
But while voters may trust Harris more with the economy, they will trust former President Trump more with their wallets. According to that same Financial Times University of Michigan poll, 42% say they'll be financially better off under a second Trump presidency, compared to just 33% who say the same about Vice President Harris. However, Trump is losing ground there, too. Back in July, 45% said they'd be better off under Trump, while just 35% said they'd be worse off if he retakes the White House, compared to 40% now. Trump on Truth Social immediately on the defense, posting, "Kamala has no imagination whatsoever, as shown by the fact that she played copycat with no taxes on tips." Nick, so we know it will be the economy as well as each candidate's plans that will take center stage this week on the campaign trail. We also know Mr. Trump will sit down for an interview today with tech entrepreneur, the richest man in the world. You may have heard of him, Elon Musk, before barnstorming through North Carolina with his message. We know the Harris Walls team is expected to do the same there in the battleground state of Georgia.
Alina, 84 days to go before the election, and this is only getting started. All right, Alina, thank you so much. Let's bring in former D.C. Democratic Party Chairman A. Scott Bolden, an associate research scholar and lecturer in politics and public affairs at Princeton University, my friend, Dr. Lauren Wright. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, all right,
I'm your
Dr.
friend
Wright.
too, by the way.
You are, you know, Scott, as soon as I said that, I'm like, now they're going to think we got beef. We do not have beef.
Get it from the lawyers.
Exactly. We just need you to come on in studio one day and spend some time with us. I do want to start with you, though, Dr. Wright. Is this Financial Times poll an indication that former President Trump may be losing steam on the economy, particularly since we haven't really heard a true economic policy from VP Harris?
Yes, it might be signs that he can't just take this issue for granted, even though he is still far ahead on it in a lot of polls. I don't put a lot of stock in new numbers that are 1 percentage point apart. He's still 9 points ahead on people believing they'll be more prosperous under him. But absolutely, he needs to be really careful, and he does need to distinguish his policies from hers. He has the advantage that she still hasn't shared anything in detail, and so he can fill in the blanks, but that won't last very long, and he needs to have a very disciplined message on this.
And A. Scott, on the flip side of that, a CNBC American survey shows that 40% of Americans do believe, though, that they'll be financially better off under former President Trump versus 21% for VP Harris. Is that a bigger tell on how people actually feel how policies will impact their pocketbook?
I think it's an inconsistency in the polling, actually. They say we want a better economy, and you see her movement, which is really key in polling. My colleague is right. I'd like to see more polling where it shows her either pulling away or pulling up to 42, 43%. But it's baked in that Donald Trump, when you think of Donald Trump, he's allegedly rich, or maybe not as rich as we see, but he's still a very wealthy individual. Of course, they're going to look at it and say, hey, this guy is rich. He can make me rich. At the same time, though, who do they trust, which is always a factor in politics and campaigning, and who do they trust with the economy? It's shocking, given the Biden-Harris team for the last 3.5 years, that she's moving forward and even ahead of Trump in that. So I think it's something you got to watch, but she's got an economic story to tell. She's got to put out a plan. The economic story about lower employment, the stock market still being up, wages up, outpacing inflation, inflation pending downward. That's a good story to tell, and we can have that argument with the Republicans. We'll just have to keep watching and see where the polling goes.
And when we keep watching that polling, Dr. Wright, the same poll found 61% of voters believe that Vice President Harris should either take a completely different approach or make major changes to President Biden's economic policy. So is it risky for VP Harris then to appear alongside President Biden next week to lay out her economic agenda?
It could be. And so this is really key, Nick, because right now we see her surging. There's a lot of energy around the campaign. She had a pretty impressive logistical rollout, but again, no policy details. And so as long as people like her and are excited about her and they can imagine what they might like her economic policies to be, her numbers are understandably creeping up a little bit. But once she either has to make the decision, a complete continuation of Biden's incredibly unpopular economic policies, or something maybe more like what she ran on in 2019 that's a little more progressive than Biden on Medicare for all, on tax policy, on wealth redistribution. That's a very, very difficult tightrope for her to walk. I highly doubt we're going to see something more conservative than Biden. And so I don't know what she's going to do, but she should be asked questions about it, as any candidate should.
I've got less than a minute. Scott, I do want to throw this at you. Is VP Harris just a copycat with no original ideas? Telling a crowd in Nevada over the weekend she now supports ending taxes on tips. She stole that from Mr. Trump. Oh, my God.
Oh, gosh, that's not true. Come on, Nick. You listen, there's no monopoly on ideas. I think it's a good thing that they agree. And if you look at the economic reports on this whole no taxing on tipping, you're talking about a sliver of the economy or a sliver of voters or taxpayers. It may or may not have any. In fact, most reports say it's not going to have much impact on these lower income workers because so few of them even pay taxes, given how low their wages are. So the key to no taxing of the tipping is raising those worker wages so more people, the working class or the lower class, can benefit from it. So we'll have to see, but she's not stealing any ideas. There's no IP on Donald Trump's position. I think it's good that they agree. I think it's positive.
Well, remember, A. Scott, Mr. Trump did call her low IQ, so we're not sure how smart she actually is now. Remember
And she
that.
went to Howard University. I went to Howard University Law School. Those are tough schools, and she is as bright as ever.
And you don't mess with the bison. I already know that. Dr. Lauren Wright
Morehouse.
and A. Scott.
Morehouse College.
A. Scott Bolden, thank you both so much. Here are some more of your headlines this morning that we're following. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is blaming Russian troops for a fire at a nuclear power plant. This video posted to Zelensky's Telegram shows a thick cloud of smoke coming from one of the plant's cooling towers. Mr. Zelensky says that radiation levels are normal, but Russian forces continue to control that plant. This comes as the Ukrainian president confirms his troops pushed into Russia last week, marking the first time since World War II that a foreign nation fought on Russia's European territory. And the bodies of all 62 people on board a plane that crashed in Brazil have been recovered. The flight headed to Sao Paulo went down Friday afternoon. Investigators now have the plane's black box and are hoping it points to clues as to what happened. Brazil's Air Force says it stopped responding to calls and that the pilots did not report an emergency or weather issues. Authorities plan to release a preliminary report within the next 30 days. And cleanup is underway up and down the East Coast a week after Debbie made landfall as a Category 1 hurricane. Parts of the Northeast were drenched in torrential rain over the weekend, and more heavy downpours prompted flash flood warnings in the Carolinas. At least 8 people were killed in connection to that storm.
3, 2, 1, ignition, and liftoff.
Oh, what a sight to see. We brought that to you live right here on Morning in America. This was the scene at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida earlier this morning as SpaceX successfully launched 23 Starlink satellites into orbit. A Falcon 9 rocket took those satellites to low Earth orbit. The launch was originally set for Sunday morning. No word on why it was scrubbed. And there's growing concern this morning about a large-scale protest in Chicago with the Democratic National Convention just 1 week away. How the vice president's new position at the top of the Democratic ticket is impacting what pro-Palestinian groups have planned. And Tom Cruise stole the show during the closing ceremonies of the Olympic Games, defying gravity with this dive as fans look forward to 2028.
The one and only Bill O'Reilly joins Leland on Balance tonight, only on NewsNation.
When I grow up, I want to be an actor.
So why don't you act like a good sister and get me some more buffalo wings?
On second thought, I want to be a director. Let's try a scene where you go get your own.
Can we get some more lemon pepper wings in this scene?
Ooh, and honey teriyaki too.
Ooh, good note.
Have your people call my people.
Can Nariva support your brain health?
Mary, Janet, hey.
Eddie, no, Fraser, Frank. Frank?
Fred, how are you? Fred.
Fuel up to 7 brain health indicators, including your memory. Join the Nariva Brain Health Challenge.
I never want to shop for car insurance again. And with the Experian Insurance Marketplace, I don't have to. They shop for me with over 40 top providers, and they alert me about better rates in the future. Free. I saved $800.
Go to Experian.com/car.
It was one thing when my mom got Alzheimer's, but then we started noticing things that seemed off. She developed agitation that may happen with dementia due to Alzheimer's disease. Sometimes she'd fidget with her fingers, get suddenly overwhelmed, and even throw things. And that was just never her. So we asked her doctor what else we could do.
Rexulti is the only FDA-approved medication proven to reduce agitation symptoms that may happen with dementia due to Alzheimer's disease. Rexulti can cause serious side effects. Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke, report fever, stiff muscles, and confusion, which can be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High blood sugar, which can lead to coma or death, weight gain, increased cholesterol, low white blood cells, unusual urges, dizziness on standing, falls, seizures, trouble swallowing, or sleepiness may occur.
Rexulti helped reduce my mom's symptoms.
Take action for your loved one. Ask their doctor about Rexulti.
My mom used to tell me, if you want to be a champion, you got to be a champion at life. I got to watch her play at her highest from when I was born.
From one generation to the next, we don't stop.
I always wanted to know why I am the way I am. My curiosity led me to Ancestry.
It breaks down like everything genetically, what that means. That's amazing. Right? It all comes full circle.
Your shipping manager left to find themselves, leaving you lost. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Indeed Instant Match instantly delivers quality candidates matching your job description. Visit Indeed.com/hire.
I wish my TV provider let me choose what I pay for.
Sling lets you do that.
I wish my TV provider let me choose what I pay for and let me pause my subscription when I want. Sling lets you do that. Yeehaw! I wish my TV provider let me choose what I pay for and let me pause my subscription when I want and have hundreds of free channels. Sling lets you do that too.
Choose and customize your channel lineup or watch for free. Sling lets you do that.
In a race like no other, at a convention like no other, trust a network like no other. NewsNation brings you the Democratic National Convention live in Chicago all next week. Every story, every angle, for every American, with balanced coverage from trusted journalists and all perspectives that you won't get anywhere else. The Democratic National Convention, live coverage all next week, only on NewsNation. News for all America.
Welcome back. 21 minutes after the hour, you're looking live at Chicago, courtesy of EarthCam, where in just a week, the Windy City will host the Democratic National Convention. And as it approaches, tensions are rising with a major protest planned by pro-Palestinian groups. The potential unrest centered on the conflict in the Middle East, which has angered many in the Palestinian-American community. NewsNation's Mill Hayes joins us live with one of the lead organizers of this protest. Mills, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Nick. I'm here with Hadam Abudaya, who tells me he's one of the organizers of the protest. Hadam, can you tell me, do you guys expect there to still be a large showing now that Kamala Harris is at the top of the ticket?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we met the day that the announcement was made, and we had over 150 organizations that had joined the coalition at that time. Now we have over 200, and everybody said, yeah, we're going full steam ahead, no changes. Kamala Harris represents this administration. She's just as complicit and just as responsible for the Israeli genocide against the Palestinian people in Gaza. And so, yeah, we're still going to have tens of thousands of people out there.
And also, too, we've heard from the Anti-Defamation League. They combat anti-Semitism. They say that they're concerned about the protest, that it could potentially get violent. What do you think about that?
Yeah, we reject that wholesale. You know, we did a statement the day that they announced that in their press conference. We totally reject that. There's real anti-Semitism in this world, and we refuse to accept the criminalization of our community, of our protests, and the weaponization of anti-Semitism. The ADL has been known to be a racist, anti-Black, anti-Arab, anti-Muslim organization. They're only saying that because they want to attack us for trying to stop the genocide, whereas they want to continue the genocide, continue the killing of the Palestinian people. So we reject them.
And also, some of the protesters have said they would like to see this protest be as large as the 1968 Democratic National Convention. There was some violence there, some police brutality as well. Are you concerned about how police will respond? And then also, too, are you guys committed to be peaceful?
We're prepared for everything. We have a great team of organizers who have been doing this for decades. We have a great team of marshals and security team. We have lawyers with the National Lawyers Guild who are there as legal observers. The only responsibility that local Chicago police and federal law enforcement has is to not infringe on our First Amendment rights. We don't need their protection. We keep ourselves safe. We keep our protests safe. The community keeps us safe. We don't need their protection. We need them not to infringe on our First Amendment rights. That's the most important thing. Over the years, especially in Black communities here, the attacks and the violence have been perpetrated by the police themselves. We're not concerned about our protests. You know, we know how to organize these things. We know how to keep our community safe, and we will.
Right, and your group is committed to being peaceful.
Yeah, this is a family-friendly march. I mean, there's going to be people from their children and seniors, people of all kinds of physical abilities, people of all immigration statuses. We applied for a permit that the city still has not granted yet because we want it to be a mass family-friendly march for thousands of people to get their message out. And the message is stop U.S. aid to Israel. The message is free Palestine. The message is stop the genocide, because this Democratic Party, this president, this vice president are responsible for it. They could have turned off that tap of money and weapons to Israel anytime. They could do it today. They could have done it back in October. The fact that they haven't meant that they're just as responsible. They have the blood of 40,000 Palestinians on their hands, and that's why we're protesting.
All right, thank you so much. And Nick, like you said, we'll be monitoring this and watching this protest as it goes on, and we'll be keeping an eye on it. Nick?
Mills, thank you so much, and thank you to Mr. Abadea as well. Thousands of Florida condo buildings have to make loads of repairs by the end of the year. How a new law is forcing many of those condo owners out of retirement and back to work. A home explosion leaves an entire lot in complete rubble and 2 people dead. What officials are saying was reported at the residence.
When I grow up, I want to be an actor.
So why don't you act like a good sister and get me some more buffalo wings?
On second thought, I want to be a director. Let's try a scene where you go get your own.
Can we get some more lemon pepper wings in this scene?
Ooh, and honey teriyaki too.
Ooh, good note.
Have your people call my people.
Can Nariva support your brain health?
Mary, Janet, hey.
Eddie, no. Fraser, Frank. Frank?
Fred, how are you? Fred.
Fuel up to 7 brain health indicators, including your memory. Join the Nariva Brain Health Challenge.
Cologuard, Cologuard.
Cologuard.
Screen for colon cancer.
At home, like you want.
You the man.
Cologuard is for people 45 plus at average risk, not high risk. False positive and negative results may occur. Ask your provider for Cologuard.
I did it my way.
Meet the Jennifers. Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z. Each planning their future through the Chase mobile app. Gen X is planning a summer in Portugal with some help from JP Morgan Wealth Plan. Let's go, Whiskers. Gen Y is working with a banker to budget for her birthday.
You only turn 30 once.
And Gen Z, her credit's golden. Hello, new apartment. 3 gens getting ahead with Chase. Solutions that grow with you. One bank for now, for later, for life. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Hi, I'm Jay Jackson. For almost 20 years, Abacus Life has been purchasing life insurance policies from seniors. And in just seconds, you can use the free calculator at abacuspays.com to learn what your policy might be worth.
For many of my clients, selling their life insurance to Abacus was right for them and their estate plan.
Don't sell or lapse your policy without going to abacuspays.com first. There are no fees and no obligations. Get the real value from your life insurance when you need it with Abacus.
Only from SimpliSafe, 24/7 lifeguard protection. This exclusive technology allows SimpliSafe agents to help stop crime in real time.
Stop. Police are on their way.
For instant intruder deterrence and faster police response, there's no safe like SimpliSafe.
What if your body didn't have to hurt after being active? Introducing Stogo, the only apparel with adjustable medical-grade support designed to help you overcome injuries, minimize pain, and regain the confidence to get back out there. Stoko's supportive apparel is engineered with 90 feet of high-strength cables that reinforce the body and control dials that allow you to adjust the support. Stoko is trusted by professionals, world-class athletes, and weekend warriors who all want one thing: more activity and less pain. Learn more at Stoko.com.
Take care of my finances? I got plenty of time for that.
I didn't have plenty of time.
Procrastinating on your finances has a way of stacking up. A membership with Facet is a quick and easy first step to get your finances in order.
I'll get to that tomorrow.
Now is the time to take action. Go to Facet.com to get started on your financial wellness journey today.
Welcome back, 29 minutes after the hour. Here's a look at the top stories we're following this morning. Israeli intelligence is warning an attack by Iran could be imminent. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is now ordering the nuclear-powered submarine USS Georgia and the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln to the region as fears of a wider conflict increase. A new poll by the Financial Times Michigan Ross Business School shows Americans trust Vice President Kamala Harris more on the economy than former President Donald Trump. That edge, however, is razor thin, only a 1% difference. However, while the poll shows Americans trust Harris more on the economy overall, they think they'll be better off financially under a second Trump presidency. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is blaming Russian troops for a fire at a nuclear plant. This video posted to Zelensky's Telegram shows a thick cloud of smoke coming from one of the plant's cooling towers. Mr. Zelensky says radiation levels are normal, but Russian forces continue to control that plant. Let's get now to Kelsey with more of our Monday morning headlines. Kelsey, including a disturbing story about a house explosion.
Yeah, so this really is a heartbreaking story. We're learning 2 people died, 1 injured. The deputy state fire marshal is calling this one of the largest explosions he has ever seen. And take a look at this drone footage showing the rubble after this explosion. Authorities saying that the blast happened early Sunday morning after a reported gas leak. The 73-year-old homeowner, a utility worker, they were both killed instantly. A neighbor was also bruised and cut by debris. So far, we're also learning that 12 families, they've been forced to be relocated, and authorities are still working to figure out what caused this explosion. Well, this right here, an Illinois school food director has now been sentenced to 9 years in prison after pleading guilty to stealing $1.5 million worth of chicken wings from students. More than 11,000 cases of food went missing. Vera Liddell is her name. She started the illegal fraud scheme during COVID. We're also learning that she would use a school district van to pick up the orders, and it was a routine audit that led to her arrest. American Olympians, they're now returning home from Paris with more hardware than any other country in the world. The U.S. finished the Olympics with 126 total medals, and get this, it's the only country to break triple digits at the Games. Team USA tied with China for the most gold medals, each winning 40. Host nation France finished in 4th, and 1 medal behind Great Britain, that was. And Australia was the only other country to win more than 50 medals in Paris. And take a look at this. Lots of eyes on this. Tom Cruise closing the Olympic Games with a death-defying dive during the closing ceremonies. The countdown's now on for the 2028 Summer Olympic Games in Los Angeles.
A lot of people are talking about the closing ceremony with Tom Cruise and all of that. So it was a spectacle.
Crazy. I mean, he's getting older and he can still do these moves. It's crazy.
He has to be, what, in his 30s by now?
Nicholas.
We're going to leave it right there. Kelsey, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Scrambling to make ends meet, Florida condo owners are finding themselves having to foot a hefty bill for millions of dollars in structural repairs. New laws coming after the 2021 Champaign Towers condo collapse that killed 89 people are intended to prevent similar tragedies, but they're pricing some residents out. NewsNation's Xavier Walton joins us live from Surfside, Florida. Xavier, I can only imagine how difficult it is for someone in their retirement to now get slapped with a bill that has 5 figures attached to it.
Nick, difficult and frustrating as well. Hard to believe, though, it has been more than 3 years since that tragedy struck here at Surfside at that condo collapse. Since then, though, Florida lawmakers have really been working hard to prevent it, to make sure that something like that doesn't happen again. The problem is it's at a cost, right? But what's that cost? So we're talking new rules, new regulations, and some of them just do not bode well for these condo owners. State requirements in Florida now forcing any 3-story, 30-year-old condo or 25 years if it's near saltwater, so like where we are this morning, to be inspected for structural integrity by the end of this year and then every decade after. Those are new safeguards. They're great. They're put in place to obviously protect residents from tragic images like this one, like you see here. Over that cost of repairs to get the condos up to new code, tens of millions of dollars, pricing some owners out. And in many cases, the condo owners, I mean, they're left footing this just absurd bill for repairs. And because of that, owners are questioning, why they have to pay years of lax maintenance, subpar building standards dating back all the way to the 90s. For example, and this is where it gets really frustrating for some, a 2-bedroom condo in Miami sold for between $400,000 and $500,000. For the same condo, residents reportedly having to pay more than $150,000 towards a special assessment fee for a wide range of building improvements. In another case up near Daytona, a woman who owns a condo there says she owes $100,000 for a special assessment fee to the condo association for concrete restoration, new windows, adding insult to injury. The HOA fees went up as well. So think about all of that money, and you mentioned it in that last story, that woman that I just talked about, she's retired, but coming out of retirement just to go back into retirement because of this new law. And you know what? Some are just trying to figure out how are they even going to make it work? And that's the problem. Some seeking legal action, filing lawsuits against some of these associations, Nick.
Yeah, Xavier, it's just not an easy task ahead. Xavier, thank you so much. A police officer fighting for his life after a weekend protest in Ferguson, Missouri. What ignited the attack that left him hospitalized?
Got real serious for a moment. Okay.
What's with the what? What?
Can Nariva support your brain health?
Mary, Janet, hey.
Eddie, no. Fraser, Frank.
Frank? Fred, how are you? Fred.
Fuel up to 7 brain health indicators, including your memory. Join the Nariva Brain Health Challenge.
Not every decision you make will be as good as getting a Volkswagen at the Savvy VW Summer Sales Event. 2024 Volkswagen models cost less to maintain than Honda. Get 1.9% APR financing or a $2,500 customer bonus on a new 2024 Tiguan.
On Medicare? Have diabetes? When enjoying life's special moments, are you left guessing which foods are right for you? With the Freestyle Libre 3 system, you'll know your glucose and where it's headed. No finger sticks needed. Freestyle Libre 3. Manage your diabetes with more confidence and lower your A1C so you can focus on those special moments. Covered by Medicare for more people managing diabetes with insulin. Talk to your provider or visit freestylelibre.us/Medicare.
I won't let my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis symptoms define me.
Emerge as you. With Tremfya, most people saw 90% clearer skin at 4 months, and the majority stayed clearer at 5 years.
Serious allergic reactions may occur. Tremfya may increase your risk of infections and lower your ability to fight them. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, or if you had a vaccine or plan to.
Emerge as you. Emerge Tremfyant. Ask your doctor about Tremfya.
My mental health was better, but uncontrollable movements called TD, tardive dyskinesia, started disrupting my day.
TD felt embarrassing. I felt like disconnecting. I asked my doctor about treating my TD and learned about Ingrezza. Ingrezza is clinically proven for reducing TD. Most people saw results in just 2 weeks. People taking Ingrezza can stay on most mental health meds. #1 prescribed Ingrezza has simple dosing for TD. Always 1 pill once daily. Ingrezza can cause depression, suicidal thoughts, or actions in patients with Huntington's disease. Pay close attention to and call your doctor if you become depressed, have sudden changes in mood, behaviors, feelings, or have thoughts of suicide. Don't take Ingrezza if you're allergic to its ingredients. Ingrezza may cause serious side effects including angioedema, potential heart rhythm problems, and abnormal movements. Report fevers, stiff muscles, or problems thinking, as these may be life-threatening. Sleepiness is the most common side effect. Take control by asking your doctor about Ingrezza.
You know what's crazy?
That this is better than cooking at home? I mean, more affordable than groceries.
Of course.
Good.
Groceries are expensive.
Thought I was in trouble there for a sec.
Oh, you are.
Welcome back, 38 minutes after the hour. A Ferguson police officer is critically injured during protests on the 10-year mark of Michael Brown's death. Our NewsNation affiliate Laura Simon is live outside the police department in Ferguson with an update on that officer's condition. Laura, good morning.
Good morning to you, Nick. Officer Travis Brown is still fighting for his life at this hour. 28-year-old Elijah Gant of East St. Louis is facing multiple felonies in this assault, but it all started after a peaceful gathering happened out here outside the Ferguson Police Department on the 10-year mark of Michael Brown's death. And we're finding out more about Officer Travis Brown this morning. He had been working here at the department since January of this year. And prior to that, he was working for the St. Louis County Police Department. He was actually working there back in 2014 when Michael Brown's death happened and the protests that followed that. He also served on the front lines during that time. Ferguson Police Chief Troy Doyle holding an emotional news conference over the weekend detailing what happened on Friday night. He says his officers blocked parts of the road outside the police department with patrol cars, allowing for this peaceful gathering to happen. We understand about 40 people were out here at the time, but when some protesters broke and stole a large section of fencing out in front of the police department, the chief authorized his officers to move in and start making arrests. And during that time, police say Gant charged at Officer Brown and knocked him down. He fell backwards, hitting his head on the pavement, and suffered a serious brain injury. Chief Doyle says 2 other officers suffered minor injuries in this. St. Louis County Prosecutor Wesley Bell's office issuing charges against Gant. He faces multiple felonies, including first-degree assault and resisting arrest. And we spoke with Bell yesterday after he visited with Officer Brown and his family. Bell sharing an update on his condition.
It's a tough situation right now. I'm hoping we'll know something soon. But when you're dealing with these kind of injuries, not only is it touch and go, and we're praying that he'll make it, but if he does make it, what does that look like when you're dealing with brain injuries and things of that nature? So, you know, this is just tough.
The St. Louis County prosecutor went on to emphasize he believes people have the right to peacefully protest, but when people start getting hurt, including police officers, and property starts getting damaged, those responsible need to be held accountable. We do understand that Gant is being held in jail on a $500,000 bond, and 4 other suspects were arrested facing charges including resisting arrest and damaging property. Reporting live here in Ferguson, I'm Laura Simon. Nick, we'll send it back to you.
Laura, thank you so much. We are just minutes away from NewsNation Live with Marni Hughes, and she's here right now with the preview. Marni, good morning.
Good morning, Nick. Things are heating up on the campaign trail, and this is going to be a really big couple of weeks for both the campaigns and the presidential election. We're getting ready for the DNC in Chicago, and we've got some new polling focused on the economy. It's still neck and neck, but it shows Kamala Harris coming ahead slightly. So we'll talk more about that as she gets ready to roll out what her policies would look like if she takes office in this next election cycle. Biden is going to join her on the campaign trail this week after his interview this weekend. Does that help or hurt her campaign at this point is one question. And we'll be hearing from former presidents Clinton and Obama at the DNC. So they're set to speak along with a number of other people powerful in the party. And then Trump is going to sit down with Elon Musk today for that big interview on X. They've had some technical problems in the past doing these interviews. They're trying to reach an entirely new audience. This goes beyond the base. So we'll get into the details of some of that. And I don't know about you, but I am sad the Olympics are over. I watched them religiously.
We were talking about that. I love that
4x400.
I thought women's soccer, they were fantastic.
I couldn't get enough. I can't wait for 2 years from now. But there's some controversy, and you've been talking about it this morning with Jordan Chiles. I was watching when the bronze was given to the Romanian gymnast, and then they gave it to Jordan Chiles, and now she's having it taken back away from her. She will appeal, but this is a matter of seconds, 4 seconds, that they're disputing that her coaches did not appeal the ruling. So we'll talk to Greg Louganis, who is one of the most famous Olympians, at least in my book, the 1984 Olympics. He was a high diver, about this controversy, about the revoking of medals, and also looking ahead to Los Angeles in 2028. He was there in '84. He's been there in Paris these last few weeks. So we'll talk to him about the controversy and also the excitement around the Olympics while we've got so much momentum.
Oh, and will he be at 2028?
We'll ask him. We'll find out. I bet he will.
Marni Hughes, I love that. Marni, thank you. You can watch NewsNation Live with Marni Hughes weekdays from 9 a.m. to noon Eastern right here on NewsNation. A notorious drug lord now in U.S. custody says he was double-crossed by rival cartel members. How a son of one of the most famous cartel leaders allegedly set him up.
At the Jeep Make This the Summer event, you can take a vacation from payments on the most capable Wrangler ever. Our most affordable SUV, Jeep Compass. The only open-air pickup, Jeep Gladiator. And the most awarded SUV ever, Jeep Grand Cherokee. Hurry into your Jeep brand dealer and make the most out of summer with great deals plus no payments for 90 days.
During the Jeep Make This the Summer event, get $5,000 bonus cash allowance or get 0% financing on 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee Overland and Summit models.
Can Nariva support your brain health?
Mary, Janet, hey.
Eddie, no. Fraser, Frank.
Frank? Fred, how are you? Fred.
Fuel up to 7 brain health indicators, including your memory. Join the Nuriva Brain Health Challenge.
He was only 47. Aneurysm. Did he have life insurance? Do you? No. You got to get on it. Check out SelectQuote. Trust me, the peace of mind, it's worth it.
Life insurance is too important to put off another day. That's why SelectQuote makes getting coverage you need easy, for less than $1 a day. Now get up to a $2 million policy with no medical exam and same-day coverage.
Visit SelectQuote.com. We shop, you save.
My oldest daughter, Camilla, she came out fighting. 2 days old, she had to have open heart surgery. All of a sudden, she's on, 5 different medications. Me and the pharmacist got so tight. She said, GoodRx can save you a lot of money. Saving that extra $200-300 a month. You do the math. The money we're able to save with using GoodRx, we're able to do all these extra activities. She can hit hard, too, for a little skinny thing. So it puts less stress on our household, and it puts less stress on our pockets.
Growing your business is easy once you know the moves. With GoDaddy Websites Plus Marketing, you can quickly create a website and AI will customize it for you. Get your business out there and get more customers in here. No sweat. For you anyway. Create a beautiful website in minutes with GoDaddy.
When you're the leader in disaster cleanup and restoration, how do you make like it never even happened happen?
Fire it up, Randy!
By being prepared for anything. Whatever comes your way, there's a pro for that.
Serve Pro, like it never even happened.
So what are you thinking?
I'm thinking
About our honeymoon.
What about Africa? Safari.
Hot air balloon rides.
Swim with elephants.
Wait, can we afford a safari?
Great question. Like everything, takes a little planning.
Or put the money towards a down payment
On a ranch
in Montana.
with horses.
Let's take a look at those scenarios.
JP Morgan Wealth Management has advisors in Chase branches and tools like Wealth Plan to help keep you on track. When you're planning for it all, the answer is JP Morgan Wealth Management.
What if your body didn't have to hurt after being active? Introducing Stogo, the only apparel with adjustable medical-grade support designed to help you overcome injuries, minimize pain, and regain the confidence to get back out there. Stoko's supportive apparel is engineered with 90 feet of high-strength cables that reinforce the body and control dials that allow you to adjust the support. Stoko is trusted by professionals, world-class athletes, and weekend warriors who all want one thing: more activity and less pain. Learn more at Stoko.com.
Take care of my finances? I got plenty of time for that.
I didn't have plenty of time.
Now is the time to take action. Go to Facet.com to get started on your financial wellness journey today.
Let your feet take you wherever your spirit wants to go. The redesigned Hurricane helps you navigate any surface so it truly stands alone. Move forward with confidence at hurricane.com.
Ambushed and kidnapped, Mexican drug lord El Mayo claims he was brought to the U.S. against his will after being tricked by rival cartel members. In a letter released by his lawyer, El Mayo says he believed he was meeting with a Mexican governor only to be attacked, handcuffed, and put on a plane headed to America. NewsNation's Jorge Ventura has the latest. Jorge, how does El Mayo say all this actually went down?
Well, Nick, we're finally learning some stunning new details on the sting operation that occurred on July 25th that took down Sinaloa cartel's top boss, El Mayo Zambada. According to El Mayo, he says that he was kidnapped by Joaquin Guzman, the son of El Chapo, and was taken to the U.S. against his will. In this new statement released by his lawyer, El Mayo says, quote, "I did not turn myself in. I did not come voluntarily to the United States, nor did I have agreement with either government. To the contrary, I was kidnapped, brought to U.S. forcefully, and against my will." Mexican officials are demanding answers on how this operation was carried out from the U.S. On Friday, Mexican President Obrador said, quote, "We need to know if there was a deal and if it was two people of their own accord or if a foreign agency intervened. What we are absolutely sure of is that the Mexican government did not intervene. On the day of his arrest, cartel leader El Mayo says he was asked by El Chapo's son to attend a local meeting between politicians in Sinaloa. El Mayo says that he trusted El Chapo's son because he knew him since he was a young boy and trusted the nature of the meeting. He was led into a dark room and followed without hesitation, and says, quote, "I was led into another room which was dark. As soon as I set foot inside that room, I was ambushed. A group of men assaulted me, knocked me to the ground, and placed a dark color hood over my head. They tied me up and handcuffed me and then forced me into the bed of a pickup truck. I was then driven to a landing strip about 20 or 25 minutes away, where I was forced onto a private plane." U.S. Ambassador to Mexico, Ken Salazar, also confirmed that El Mayo was taken to the U.S. against his will, confirming some of those details in that letter. And according to Salazar, he says that Joaquin Guzman, the son of El Chapo, intended to turn himself in to U.S. authorities and brought Zambada El Mayo alongside to receive more favorable treatment from U.S. authorities. As of right now, Nick, El Mayo is facing numerous charges in numerous states, including New York and California.
And we'll have to see how it all plays out. Jorge Ventura live for us this morning. Jorge, thank you. From Oklahoma inmate to hometown hero, our next guest is helping others who once stood in her shoes. How Delisa Jones' secondhand store is giving people a second chance at life.
Coming up next, NewsNation Live with Marni Hughes on NewsNation, News for All America.
The virus that causes shingles is sleeping in 99% of people over 50. It's lying dormant, waiting, and could reactivate. Shingles strikes as a painful, blistering rash that can last for weeks, and it could wake at any time. Think you are not at risk for shingles? It's time to wake up, because shingles could wake up in you. If you're over 50, talk to your doctor or pharmacist about shingles prevention.
You got this. 1, remember, I don't want surgery for my Dupuytren's contraction.
2, I want to be able to lay my hand flat.
3, I want a non-surgical recovery.
4, I want options, non-surgical options.
And 5,
And if non-surgical treatment isn't offered?
I'll get a second opinion. Let's go.
Take charge of your treatment. If you can't lay your hand flat, visit findahandspecialist.com to get started.
Meet Mike. Mike's been hearing a ton about CBD. Some people are telling him it's changed their life. Now he's wondering if he should try it. He's lucky because he has friends he trusts who have found a really good CBD product they recommend.
Nothing is as great as this stuff. I mean, Harrelson's own CBD is like my secret weapon.
No matter how many things come at me, I'm like, boom, handled, next.
Give your life a boost.
We make every bottle of Harrelson's Own from 100% organic CBD, hand harvested right from the farm. It's actually one of the fastest acting CBDs on the market today. So you start to feel it in seconds, not 60 minutes.
It hits my body really fast.
It takes literally under 2 minutes to work versus 60 minutes. Other brands that I've tried take forever. I don't have time for that.
You're going to feel the benefits quickly, love the way it feels, pay a fair price, and you're going to thank us for it.
I used to be the kind of person that would take ibuprofen several times a week. I carry a lot of tension in my neck and shoulders, but the first time I tried Harrelson's Own, my headache went away in 10 minutes.
And then all of a sudden, I'm like, I've got this. I'm a boss woman.
In order to connect with my kids, I have to not want to lose my mind. That's where Harrelson's Own comes in for me.
I'm just in the zone all day, fully focused, fully energized, and I can balance and juggle everything.
I'm crushing it all day long.
I am much happier. My kids are definitely happier.
We know you are going to love Harrelson's Own, and your satisfaction is important to us. We are so confident you're going to be satisfied that we back every bottle with a 60-day, 100% money-back guarantee.
I've just started incorporating it into my everyday life now.
I absolutely love it. It has been a game changer for me.
And then whenever I come home, I've got plenty of energy to still go out with my friends.
Better nerves, better success. It is my secret weapon.
Give Harrelson's Own a try, from our family to yours. Go to harrelsoncbd.com to order yours now.
At SimpliSafe, we build advanced security sensors and cameras for your whole home, powered by 24/7 professional monitoring and Fast Protect technology, exclusively from SimpliSafe for faster police response. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
News Nation Tonight. Dan Abrams on Dan Abrams Live. Tonight, 9, 8 Central, only on News Nation. News for all America.
Mexico is breaking records. The country now holds the Guinness World Record for the largest variety of tacos and the most basket tacos. Locals came out and showed out with taco makers cooking up more than 150 types of tacos. We're talking all kinds of flavors with everything from pork to potatoes and even cactus. One taco chef saying it's a true source of pride. Note to self, Nicholas book trip to Mexico. Our next guest turned her pain into purpose, now helping others who once stood in her shoes avoid going back to prison. Delisa Jones is considered a hometown hero in Oklahoma City, the survivor of drugs, alcohol, prostitution, and incarceration, and opened the doors of a second chance thrift store back in 2017. The store acts as a re-entry ministry that helps people get back on their feet and into society with a focus on reducing the rate of recidivism. The Department of Justice reports 82% of people released from state prisons were rearrested at least once during the 10 years that followed. Delisa, we are proud to have you here with us this morning, and we love that you are the passionate executive director of your store. You say that it's all about getting people back on their feet. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Delisa, talk to me. You talk about your store fuels your mission and that you feel blessed to be where you are in your life. Tell us quickly about your story and why this is so important to you.
Well, my store is a reentry ministry, and what that means is we focus on men and women who are coming out of prison, homelessness, addiction, human trafficking, sex trafficking, and domestic violence. And the reason we deal with each and every one of those specific situations is because it's my life's story. So it's now my life's journey to help men and women who are just like me.
And Delisa, I'm guessing that we talked about reentry. Reentry probably isn't as difficult as making sure that those who are back in society don't fall into the steps of recidivism.
Correct.
And Delisa, how does your ministry help to prevent that and work with those who are back into the world?
Well, we offer on-site case management, but we get to work alongside other organizations, ones that actually helped me as I was coming out of prison. And now we get to help their people. So the whole goal is to make sure that they have IDs, social security cards, birth certificates, so that they're able to get a job, get permanent housing. If they are dealing with substance abuse or mental health issues, that we get them appropriate housing, such as sober living, transitional living, and into programs that actually help with their current situation so they don't get lost back out into the streets.
Delisa, you've talked about how important faith is in your ministry and in the work that you do. Were you a woman of faith before your incarceration?
Absolutely not. Not even during my incarceration.
Oh, and then when did it change for you, Delisa, quickly?
So when I got while I was in prison, I got a couple of degrees, but when I got out of prison, I realized that I couldn't do anything but work in a restaurant. So I was working in 2 restaurants simultaneously. And a lady in my section used to sit and do Bible studies, which really, aggravated me because she would take up my section for hours. Yeah. And then one day she just simply said, "Hey, Delisa, would you like to learn about Jesus?" And that was on a Saturday. And then moving forward to Monday, I started Bible studies, and then I got baptized. And then second chances came about a little bit after that, but that's how I became saved and when I started my relationship with God.
Delisa, may I just say that we absolutely love your story, and you always have a space here on NewsNation Morning in America. I love that when people find Christ, even later in life, that they take the time to minister to others. Delisa Jones, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Oh, you are so much alike. Love that. Fast forwarding into your Monday, a pair of Democratic lawmakers will head to the border today, highlighting how investment in border security is helping tackle the country's drug epidemic. Senator Marni Hughes and Congressman Gab Vasquez, both of Mexico, will discuss how a recent $400 million investment for CPB technology is boosting law enforcement's fight against fentanyl trafficking. Elon Musk is set to interview former President Donald Trump on Musk's social media platform X. Musk endorsed the former president last month after the assassination of Mr. Trump's life. The world's richest man says the interview will be live streamed on President Trump's X account, and the same one that Musk reinstated after he bought the social media platform. And athletes are leaving the Olympic Village in Paris, and the Olympic flag is heading back to Los Angeles for the first time in 40 years. LA Mayor Karen Bass, Simone Biles, and Tom Cruise were on hand for the closing ceremony Sunday night to take the flag. Los Angeles hosts the Olympics for the third time ever in 2028. As mid-August begins, so does pumpkin spice everything. Right now, Krispy Kreme is not only serving up pumpkin spice lattes, but pumpkin spice cake donuts too. Also joining the pumpkin spice latte game right now is Tim Hortons and 7-Eleven, who's also serving pumpkin spice Slurpees. What? If you like the smell of pumpkin, but coffee isn't your thing, coming soon at your local grocery stores are seasonal pumpkin beers. What? And pumpkin spice skin products at Walmart. Even hefty cinnamon pumpkin spice trash bags available on Amazon in September. I can tell you this, if you come into the studio, I even smell like pumpkin spice. But you know who doesn't? Marni Hughes, because she's here to continue our coverage on the other side. Marni, good morning.
Good morning. And because I'm not a fan of pumpkin spice. It's too much, Nick. Too much. Enough. Peppermint, yes. I'll go for peppermint. Have a good one. Nick likes the spice. All right, it's Monday, August 12th. Time for NewsNation Live.